We are here at a geothermal installation. We're going to be digging the loop field here. Should be a little trench coming off of the house, probably around here, out this way, and then this big rectangle. So it's been pretty smooth digging the first 4 feet, 4.5 feet.
That looks really hard.
Now we're getting to some shale. Which is breaking up, you know, fairly good. You can see it over there in the pile. I mean, could be better, could be worse. We switched gears a little bit. We started digging. You can see right here, this is about our depth where we need to be. But at the bottom of this, we hit quite a bit of shale. You can see it here. Thankfully, it's breaking up pretty easy. But between that and me realizing the how nice of a layer of topsoil there is here, so I said let's go ahead, let's strip our cut, and we'll stockpile the topsoil. And then that way, when it's all said and done, we backfill. We'll put all this nasty stuff in first, and then put our topsoil on top and get it to look halfway decent. Getting down to the home stretch here. As you can see, we got a good amount of the trench dug, or the field I should say, and it's going to be ending about right here where my bucket is. And I dug out that side of the field, piled up as much dirt as I could up on that bank, and now the rest of it is going to go to my left, or it's going to have to be moved with the bobcat. So what I'm doing now is I'm piling up right here on the left, and I can go out pretty far. The property line is, I think, like about 25 feet that way. We have a marker out there, a couple of them. We got most of the digging done yesterday. I was finishing up on the ramp to get in and out of the trench. Then I'm going to get down in there with the skid steer and flatten out the bottom a little bit. You can see there's some humps and bumps. A lot of it's pretty loose, so I'm hoping I can smooth it out pretty quickly. And then we'll have a stone dust delivery. I'm going to put a thin layer of stone dust over the whole bottom. There we go, first load of stone dust dumped. I was trying to get it on recording, but these GoPro batteries do not like the cold. I told them to keep it off the grass as best it can. We only got on there a little bit, a little less cleanup. But that's a heavy load. It's 26.5 tons, which is nice. We're in Jersey now. In PA, those triaxles are limited to carrying, they can't be over like 73,000. So I think they're only able to carry like 22 tons. So we got our whole trench covered with the bedding sand, which is it worked out pretty good. There's still a decent amount left in the street. I would say at least 5 tons, which is nice because we got a decent layer down here, at least a few inches. Yeah. We're getting ready to lay the, we'll end up pulling stuff like this out as we go. We don't want any rocks, you know, the pipes resting on any rocks or anything like that. The next step is to put the tubing in for the geothermal field. So we're getting our coil started, and basically we just untape the loop, start dragging it out, and as we go I zip tie them down. Now the way these are designed is they're supposed to be about 3 feet wide. You can see, yeah, we're right there at 3 foot. But there's not, you know, if it's 35 or 37 or 38, that's no big deal. They just need to be about 3 feet wide. When this coil is complete, we'll end up pushing it, you know, closer to that wall, and then we'll be able to leave space for the other 3 to go in. I'll show you the process here. Watch it as you go down, making sure you're staying at about your 3 foot mark. And then we just get one zip tie here right in the center. The zip tie is basically just to hold the coil in place until it gets buried. That's it. It doesn't really have any other purpose than just that. So it holds it steady until it's completely buried. So we have all 4 of our loop sets in. You can see we got more than enough separation. The way this field was designed, the engineer drew it up to about a foot between each loop. In between a lot of these we have more than 2, almost 3 feet in some spots. So now it's time to fuse our pipes together. You see what we have here. This is it's like basically a hot iron. One side is a male end and the other side is a female end, and you have to melt each end of the pipes tubes together and basically hold them in place till they fuse. I'll show you how that looks. So basically you go through a trial run to make sure your bench is set up in the right spot. So I try to make sure that the pipes keep closest to a natural bend as possible. That way there's less stress on the connector. You get yourself a nice straight cut, and we use this tool to bevel the edge. You keep a rag nearby to get all the dirt and crud off. Clamp to hold the pipe, because this iron I think is 475 degrees, so you don't want to accidentally touch it. I usually wear gloves, but I find myself slipping more with leather gloves on compared to if I just hold them. So every pipe, based on the thickness of the pipe, is how long, and well, it's a few things. The thickness of the pipe and the temperature outside basically determines how long you have to hold these pieces on. So you have to do a couple test fittings to make sure you're getting a good amount of melt. And what we've had is about 13 seconds. 13 seconds, and that's been giving us the proper amount of melting. So you ready, Phil?
Yep.
Phil's been counting for us. Just push these together. Go ahead.
1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000.
There we go. That's about 13. Give it a little extra second. Sorry about that. I knocked the camera over. But basically, I pulled it off and then I put them right together. And I hold it in place. Make sure there's no movement. And if you look inside, it might be kind of hard to see. Let me see if we can get it at the right angle. You can see that edge in there. It's kind of like mushroomed up, so you know it melted pretty good. And then also the outside edge, when you see this ripple out here, you know there was good fusion. Now when this is all said and done, we're going to pump all these up to 60 psi, and then we're going to bubble test it, and we're going to have gauges on there to make sure it holds pressure. So every connection is going to be tested, and we'll leave these pressurized the entire time we're backfilling, just in case anything happens and, you know, we nick a line or something like that, we can catch it before it's, you know, completely filled in. So we got all the outside connections done. Now we need to do the inside. I'm going to cut all these the same length, about right here, and then we need to fuse on these couplings, and one end will get the gauge with the Schrader valve on it, and then the other end just gets a cap. Oh, what are these? These are 90s. Oh, here's the cap. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we're going to get going here.
Which one you want to do first?
Up the bottom.
All right.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
All right, Phil's getting them pumped up down there in the basement. I guess that's just the sound traveling through the pipes. We'll find out for sure. So the first loop is pumped up. That's this guy right here. Want to bubble test it? And this is actual bubble test. It's not just soap and water. I mean, you know, soap and water is work just fine, but I think this stuff is just a little bit more soapy on its own. There we go. Oh, we got some little bubbles down there. That might just be from spraying it. Yeah, okay. Sometimes it foams up a little bit when it's coming out of the nozzle itself. But nonetheless, we pump these up to 60 psi. And like I said earlier, we let it sit the entire time. I put some marks on the dirt. And also you see the white paint around the coil. We have a diagram of the field. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on the diagram about where all the joints are, because if there's ever an issue, which there shouldn't be, once these pipes are fused together, they're solid. If there ever was an issue, we'll have, you know, a document telling us where the joints are at, so we have an idea of where to look. Give it a look here. All right, so this first one Let's say that's about what, 57. This one is probably 56. That one, that's probably about 56. And the last one, that's about 56 too. Okay, perfect. They're all well balanced. So we know that 4 psi of fluctuation was just from the weather, and we're going to leave the temperature change, I should say, not so much the weather, the temperature fluctuation. We're going to leave these pressurized the whole time that we're backfilling the trench. That way, if we hit a hole, first of all, it's really going to blow outside, right? Because these are pumped with 60 psi. You knock a hole in that pipe, it's going to be loud. It's going to spray the dirt all over the place. It's going to be really noticeable. So we're getting down to the wire here. We're getting all the rocky material spread out before we start getting into our topsoil piles. That's what he's doing now. He's scraping in the last little bit of rocky stuff. If there's some small stuff here, it'll get covered with the topsoil. We might have to hand pick a couple things. It's coming along pretty good. He's just back dragged this whole area here. Again, all into the center. That's where our trench was. And he's gonna back drag the top area, and then he's gonna start spreading out those piles. Those two, will be this area. This big one will be down here. All in all, it's coming out pretty good. So I'm gonna get a little ramp going right here so I can get up there and get to this pile. I could reach it if I get close, but there's no point in struggling if I don't have to. And then I'm just going to fill in this trench over here. Most of this dirt that I'm moving around, this is probably mainly the topsoil. This pile over here was pretty big. We stripped a lot. Let's see, probably going to sink pretty good. She's holding on. Good. It'd be a little bit better if I had my blade behind me. Oh well, my boom's gonna stay out in front of the machine, so it'll be fine. I can tell you, the bigger the machine, the more balance you have. If I tried to track up that with my Mini, the thing would feel like it was ready to do a backflip. These machines, you get the boom and the stick all the way out in front of you. I mean, it'll climb up a pretty steep hill. All right, guys, we're all wrapped up. We just finished grading this out. This is basically a rough grade. I told the homeowner they can expect a little bit of settlement. We packed it down pretty good as we were going with the machines. But as I mentioned, we weren't using a trench roller or any type of mechanical compaction. It wasn't necessary. So I told them to expect in the springtime to, you know, need to add some more topsoil if there's wherever it settles, and, you know, to smooth out any bumps. We got this basically as smooth as we could without using a Harley rake. You know, we had the pile of topsoil, but with that there was a lot of big clumps of grass, and there's some pretty big sheets in here, and back dragging and smoothing it out with those pieces of grass in there makes it pretty difficult. But all in all, it's not too bad. It's a little wavy, but it's not, you know, it's actually kind of matches the landscape around here. Like if you look at the neighbor's yard, there's a lot of little like dips and hills and valleys, and this is pretty much, you know, just the same. Come springtime, if he doesn't, you know, like the final contour of the ground, then he can add some topsoil and smooth it all out if that's what he wants to do. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.